I'm Gabby,
I'm Lynette.
and this is the Be Home for Dinner show. Okay.
Welcome to our first episode.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this, Gabby?
Hang on a minute. Cheers.
Cheers, sorry.
Like I haven't drunk half my glass of wine already. Okay, well, welcome. Thank you for joining me today.
My pleasure, out of my busy schedule.
What is for dinner?
Well, we were going out, so we've got leftovers for you that you made last night, your first attempt in the slow cooker.
Yeah, so you saying we've got dinner for you. You can have leftovers that you made last night while we once again went out. It's not even like you made me dinner.
I've made sure, well, I did put it in the slow cooker and I did send you messages about how to finish it off.
And then you stopped replying to me for like 2 hours and I was like, now what do I do? Oh, are you going out?
No.
Oh.
So when I get a rise out of you, I am home for dinner and I will cook you something,
okay,
darling.
So you're also having the leftovers that you made me cook last night.
Yes,
okay,
I
cool.
am.
Yeah.
Because you did say they're good.
No, it was pretty good. You don't like lemon though.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
No.
You won't like it.
No, I won't like it because it's too lemony.
Oh, it's good.
They
for me.
were actually the leftovers in the fridge from when you were doing cocktails. They were still safe.
Do you know what? I realized that today when I opened the fridge and I was like, this lemon has probably oxidized so much because it's been sitting in the fridge for 4 months. I realized today, I was like, no wonder it is so lemony. Yeah.
I did wash it.
Food poisoning. Cool.
You're fine. So what are we here for?
That's a loaded question.
Yes, it is.
In life, in this moment right now.
Oh, well, that is a bit philosophical one. And that's what we might answer some of that today
Today.
or in extra episodes as time goes on.
You're going to need to give me a minute to get a few more wines in while I establish why I'm here on this earth.
Oh, well, that's a whole episode
That's
in
a
itself,
whole-
sweetheart.
Yeah.
We'll
We'll talk about it at some point.
Yeah, we will.
Anyway, should we introduce ourselves?
Yes, we should.
So, tell me about you. I don't know much. We're mum, daughter, like, just to put that out there. This isn't like my best mate. Like, this is...
And you are my delightful daughter.
Oh, nice.
Delightful daughter.
Big words.
Yeah. Well, you're pouring the wine today, so you know. Okay, so who am I? I am a clairvoyant.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you know this. I'm a clairvoyant, but for everybody else,
Ooh.
more like to call myself a clairvoyant because that's how I see my skills. So I've been doing that for close to 35 years, perhaps. It's a long innings.
35 years?
Yeah.
Are you
'cause I
35
started-
years? Oh, yeah, because you started before
Yeah.
Mitch was born.
Yeah, I started
Yeah.
before Mitch was born, your brother, and been working as that professionally for as many decades. So lots of knowledge, more so the way my business has gone into family dynamics, family pattern healing. As I've aged, my demographic, I've become everyone's mum, which is wonderful. And I think that I've got a lot to offer, as in a different viewpoint, not just because of lived experience, but because of what I do every day looking into people's lives.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that you see so much of other people and other people's lives and how they live, which gives you, I guess, a broader scope of, what's happening in the world. And it's a very open-minded job where you have to look into other people's shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Feel it and
Feel it,
work
yeah.
through it and get a solution as to what's your next step. How to resolve this? How do we heal it? How do you have a better day leading forward after you've had time spent with me?
better day, she reckons.
So that's what I bring to the table.
Usually I look outside and her clients are like leaving in tears. So I wouldn't go as far as better day, but
Well,
But well,
I do remember you used to say how many kids, when you were a child, how many people did you make cry today, Mum?
did I used to say
you
that?
used to say that. You thought that was hilarious.
I still think that's funny. That is
I'd pick
funny.
you up
of
from
me.
school and you'd say, how many people did you make cry today? I go,
Was this when I was in like
none.
primary school? Or?
Primary school.
So
Yeah.
obviously I have seen someone running out of the house crying at some point and being like, yeah, that's what she does.
Oh my God. Well, in the shopping cart that we've got all the loads of tissues for people.
Yeah, actually, that makes sense because like when people used to ask me in primary school, what did your mum do? And I'm like, oh, she makes people cry. I'm not sure what that job title is, but she makes people cry.
So having said that, so your listeners and viewers understand that the idea is that sometimes it's a relief and a release for people to cry because there's so much energy, and I'm the person that they feel safe to do that with. What I have found over the time with my clients who respect me and look for my point of view, they sometimes know that I'm going to take mum mode, and it's going to be, I know you don't like your peas, but you've got to eat your peas. I don't like peas, but you eat your peas. So, and they come because they know that they've stepped outside the square that they were supposed to be contained within to have life unfold as I had predicted or suggested. And they still come. You know, that level of trust is amazing, that they can be driving to our house to go, oh, she's going to be so cranky with me. Oh, but I'll eat my peas and I'll take my medicine, as they say, and she's going to be so cranky with me, but I'm still going to turn up.
Yeah. Well, I think that then there's also like, even if they didn't do what maybe you suggested or said, well, this is going to be the right course of action for you, or, you know, whatever it be, that even if they didn't do the right thing, they know you knew.
Yeah.
And there's comfort in someone knowing, I don't know, that
okay.
deeply about you, and it's okay to come back, because there is comfort in being like, well, I still did the thing, but...
Yeah, but come in, we'll sort it out.
Yeah, because you know that there's someone there to help you sort through it.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, because, you know, they've had all this dread driving over or picking up the phone. You're going to yell at me. It's sometimes what I get. And I go, oh, okay.
You did the thing.
But yeah, you did the thing. But then in saying that, sometimes they're so devastated by doing the thing. Yeah. I've only got compassion. Like, I'm just going to help you through it anyway. Yeah. Yeah, so that's what I feel within this... how will we say, this platform, us working together and getting that voice out into the world. I think that that's what I have to offer. Yeah. Plus, I get to spend time with you.
Yay!
Yes.
Yes. This is so good. I love it. Yay! Oh my God. Like, I want to spend more
time with me.
Do you know what? I think the older that you get, the more time you want to spend with your parents.
Think so?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I think you... like when you're a teenager and stuff, you want to go and hang out with your friends, discover the world for yourself, because that's kind of what you have to do. But then you get older and, like, I don't know, because for what I do for work, I spend so much time away from home. I get to come home and it's like, spend time with you and I'm home.
Yeah,
you're home. You get to see, and it's the comfort and the joy, and
it's the constant. It's the constant. And I think whether you've had a great home life or a terrible home life, home is where you want to be validated, and home is where you want to feel that you are protected and loved. And it's not true for so many children out there who grow up to be adults that that's the case, but there's always that yearning for that warm hug. Yeah.
I think even like home is maybe not like a place. It is definitely sort of where you've grown up, but I think home is the people that create the home. And even coming home for me is going to Izzy's house and having a hug from Izzy and her being like, come over on your days off and I'm here and we can hang out and we can cuddle and we can talk. And like, home is the people that you surround yourself with and the love that you get from other people. It's not necessarily coming home to your house. It's coming home to the people that make it a home.
Well, that's really good. Very profound, Gabby. I'm impressed. Because if you think that if you're talking about a hug, we're talking about energy. Yeah. So you're coming into someone's space. Someone's holding that space for you, and how they vibrate and that love that they have for you is what you're getting. So that's very, very good.
Thank you. Oh, thank you.
I'm impressed.
Do you know what? I have a whole lot of time to sit in hotel rooms alone and think about life. You spend a lot of time alone.
You do.
I'm a flight attendant, by the way. But you spend so much time alone that it's like coming home is a breath of fresh air, and then you've been home, and then going away again is another breath of fresh air, because
you've had enough.
There's only so many leftovers you can eat. But then you spend so much time away that you like come home and I don't know. I sometimes feel like even when I get home, I feel a little lost because I spent so much time away, and then I come home and I lay in my own bed and I'm like, I'm so confused. Like my body doesn't know what's going on.
Well, different timings as well. Yeah. And I think for me, having adult children home at this point in time
is very embarrassing. Get a grip, get a property, and get out of my house.
No, you're all here to be able to do that, and I don't want you to go until you're ready to go. But my choice also, because we can be out, having a great time every night of the week, out dancing and enjoying each other's company. But if you two are home, or even one of you are home, we're home. I know.
Oh, that's so sweet.
People don't get it. Like, people will go, oh, what? You're staying home because kids, how old are they? I go, in their 20s. And they look at me and go,
Get a grip.
I like being home with you guys.
Yeah,
And it's not that we're doing family dinners around the table. We do have a table, but we won't.
we
talk
do
about
we
that.
do have a
We do
table.
it around the island.
We don't use it. And on the odd occasion, maybe 2 or 3 times a year, we do have a meal together. Which actually, growing up, people never understood.
What was wrong with us?
Yeah, no, literally, it was like, you don't have dinner as a family around the table. And I'm like, no, we see each other, but we don't need to be in each other's faces. Like, you don't want to sit there in awkward silence because you got nothing to talk about. I'll come talk to you when I got something to say.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like, we don't need to be. We got shit to do. Busy people.
We're all busy. Yeah, absolutely. Isn't that funny?
We're all very independent people, though.
Yeah.
We all have that, like, same characteristic of being very independent and doing, like, being alone.
Yeah, and following your own pursuits. So those times that you come together, that might be a celebration even around the kitchen island and cutting a cake or putting the food out. That's our time and that's the way we do it.
Yeah.
And I think
All 20 minutes of it.
yeah. Everyone's scooting off.
Yeah. And then everyone actually goes, you cut the cake and then you go eat the cake by yourself in a different room of the house.
But you know where to find everybody.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And there's no, like, shouting through the house. It's, I'll text you.
Yeah.
It used to be shouting through the house. Now it's,
Yeah.
I'll text you.
Well, and depending if you're really tired and I know that you'll be snappy, I'll send your brother to go and knock on your door until your dinner's ready.
Yeah, so I can yell at him. Very good.
So let's get back to, we've gone on some tangent like we always
Yeah,
do.
I don't know how that happened, but
We do.
we haven't talked about me yet.
Oh, sorry. And why are you doing this, Gabrielle?
And how self-righteous are you? This isn't about why I'm doing it. I'm just going to tell a little bit about myself. So I'm Gabby. I'm a flight attendant. No one ask. It's just happened. I don't know how that happened. I like long walks along the beach. I like sunsets. I like city skylines. And my favorite color is yellow. It's nice to meet you too. Why do you look so skeptical?
I wouldn't have thought yellow was your favourite
It's absolutely not my favorite
That's what
color.
I'm
That's all like
thinking, and
sunshine and happiness. It's actually my favorite color is black. If you have any questions, you can find me on Instagram. Send me a message, and I'll explain a little bit more about long walks on the beach. Love animals too. I'll take my dog for a walk.
Okay, so sarcasm is one of your biggest strengths, I think.
Yes. If you were to describe my personality, it would be nothing serious. Probably got a sarcastic comment. Can't communicate in anything other than jokes. That's
Pretty much it.
oh my god. I should write a book or something.
Well, this isn't how we do this these days.
Oh, this is our book. Chapter 1.
Fantastic.
Shit's fucked. Chapter 1, get to know us.
Yeah.
So we thought a good way for everyone to get to know us a little bit better would be to go through the numerology of the podcast name and our own names. So we've already worked out our numbers. We've done the calculations. Lynette's done the calculations. Let's hope they're right. For those that don't know what numerology is, it is essentially a system where you apply a number to a letter of the alphabet, and all of the letters that make up your name have an overall number that you can add together, and then you get a basic number that is your
Vibration.
vibration.
Oh, very good.
Thank you.
gosh,
That was, I'm
awesome.
so sorry to everyone listening. That was, whoa.
That was awesome, Gab.
Yeah,
Very
we got there. Yeah, so essentially it's a letter and number system that gives you an overall number that you can link to characteristics of who you are.
Yes,
and your full birth name, and you can also do it for your birth date.
You can.
We're going to go through our names that we've already calculated, and if you want to read a quick little blurb, even though we'll go through them here, you can go to our TikTok, our Instagram, or our website for a quick little overview of how to work out your number and what the characteristics are that make you you.
Okay, very good. Well explained.
Thank
Should
you.
be the
Oh
daughter of
my
a psychic,
God.
I tell you. So, numerology usually is your birth date. So, there's a number of ways of calculating it. What we're going to do today is, for those of you who are listening and you don't know your name numerology, which is called a destiny number, you just do your birth date. So, you can follow along if you're driving in the car, if you are running, if you're doing activities at home and just listening. All you're doing is your birth number to do the calculations. 1 to 31 is what you could have, because that's how many days in the month.
Yep.
So that would be a 1 to 9. Once we get into the double digits, like a 15, you add that together and that becomes a 6. So we're always looking for a single digit, except for 11 and 22, which are master numbers. Now, this birth date number is very much about how your character goes into the world.
Yep.
So that is your birth date, and that never changes. But of course, our names change along the way. So as we adopt professional names, as we get married, hold names, change names, and also our nicknames have a vibration. So your birth date number does not change, and so that's a given. That will never change, but of course your name can. So when we calculate our vibration, we use our birth certificate name, the complete name, because that's how you came into the world. And when you then have your name changes, I think it's amazing, because then each stage of your life you adopt a new energy. Yeah. And that's what I find so fascinating about it, and especially how you want to be known out there in the world, and what vibrates right when people call you nicknames and you think, oh, that's comfortable, or that's not. And it's then interesting as in, what does that mean, and how are you portraying yourself out into the world that you enjoy. So
your birth date number and what that links to is essentially the core of who you are and how you've come into this world.
Yep.
And then whatever your given name is, or whatever name you've chosen thereon, is sort of who you present yourself to be in the world, and how then in numerology that number matches who you present as and who you present yourself to other people.
Exactly. And each stage of your life can have that change, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So let's just go to the Be Home for Dinner show.
We're going into when we came up with the name.
Yes. We were talking about what represents us, and we happened to be sitting in your workspace, your private lounge room, as you like to call it. And we've looked out and we've been talking about names, and there literally were bees buzzing around the trees. So we've said, well, we've got to have the bee in it. And of course, your last name is a play on the Be Home. And then we're talking about your nan, and she used to say, call me anything, but don't call me Be Home. Be Home for dinner.
So,
what have we done?
So we took exactly what she did not want and made it the name of our podcast, which is like very fitting for the type of people we are. And this is the Be Home for Dinner show. Which
Sorry, Joy.
Yeah, she is rolling in her grave. Morbidity. Yeah, which is a funny thing, because the spelling of Boehm which is how it's pronounced, it makes no sense. No one gets it. Usually you get Biome, which just sounds exactly like Be Home. So it's the Be Home for Dinner show. So it's actually a play on my last name. So it's all about me.
It's all about the child.
Yeah, narcissism is raging. We love it. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
All right. Well, what I was going to say is the interesting thing around that was when we actually went to register the name and look at the logo. Great logo.
Thank you.
When we went to look at the logo and move things around, it just didn't look right until it was Be Home for Dinner. Yeah. And then we added the and the show.
Yeah.
So that was creative license, yeah?
Yeah.
Is that how that came about?
Well, it just looked shit as Be Home for Dinner, so that's why we ended up with Be and Show, because it is a show of our lives.
Yeah.
A shit show,
I was
going to
say that,
whatever
but I
you
thought,
want
I'm a
to
mum, I can't say that.
Yeah. Say whatever you want.
What's interesting is once I've done the numbers, so we're quite happy that's the brand, that's who we are, that's the logo. We've got that 50s vibe, bit of sassiness with Gab, me being the mother. I can't say I'm quite the 1950s mother, but we have also discussed that as well.
Yeah, because you can't cook. Actually, maybe you are, because I don't think they could cook in the 1950s, so...
Oh, no, have you seen some of the food? Yeah, no. The Be Home for Dinner show as an overall is 123 when you add every single number together. So 1, 2, 3 is magical.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually a great progression, because you've got the individual, which is the 1, you've got the partnership, which is the 2, and you've got the 3, which is the creativity. So pulling a rabbit out of the hat. And when you add those numbers together, it becomes a 6. Now 6, for all you 6s out there, 6 is about family. 6 is the nurturer. It is the mum. It is the healer. It is the person who's of service. So we became 6 by adding the 2 words, and changing the calculation and the vibration then became exactly, I think, who we are.
Yeah, I think the number 6 probably fits way more perfectly for what this podcast is about. It's about coming home for dinner. It's about sitting around the dinner table and just talking. Yeah, just talking.
So that can show you. So if you are putting yourself out there into the world, either as a new identity, if you're looking for brand or a business, you can do the numbers and you can get the idea of what it is that you want to portray to the world and how you want to work with the energy. So I think that was fascinating. So let's go into our names.
And also just quickly before we go into our individual names, when we did this and changed the name of the podcast, or ended up with the whole name, we didn't actually do the numbers first before we did it. So we kind of knew already what we wanted the podcast to be, but then when we changed the name, the number kind of perfectly ended up aligning with what this podcast is, which is interesting.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. I got quite excited and went, oh, wow, that makes sense. And I think when you do the numbers and you start to fit it, as you will when you're listening, and then you go to the website, or from what you're gaining as we work through the podcast, you'll notice that the vibration does fit. And it just is amazing how it works. So let's go to Miss Gabrielle Angelique Boehm.
Yes, that is my full name.
This is her name. So I'd like to, as you have already noted, that I am a clairvoyant. And so I've had a lot of them.
And a doting mother.
And I've had a lot of experiences in my life from day dot pretty much. And so this is what it's like in my realm of reality, I guess, is that we already had your brother. And as a psychic, I would poke my head out of the kitchen, which is quite interesting. And Gabrielle was not yet born. And I'd poke my head and I could see this little spirit child probably annoying your brother more than anything, but sitting there playing with your brother. Like
stealing his Matchbox toys.
Pretty much. It's what you did when you came into life. And so I knew we were having a girl when the time was right for her to come into the world. I knew we were having a girl. Dad didn't want to know what your sex was, but I knew it was a girl. And we'd chosen other names. And every time I'd look out of the kitchen to see what your brother was doing, I'd look at the little girl spirit and I kept getting Gabrielle. So I knew that she wanted to be called Gabrielle. So then I, of course, went, okay, Gabrielle Boehm. How about an A in the middle? So it could be Gab, shortened to Gab. We won't tell father. We'll say some boys' names. We'll say some girls' names. He agreed with Gabrielle. I said, what about if it's a girl, Gabrielle Amber? Because that's their Gab. I thought I was being really clever at the time.
It is pretty clever. It's good.
And amber is about light. It's a crystal. It's got its own vibration. It pretty much goes along with being, a psychic, so to speak. So it's a great name. All you ambers out there, great name. So that was it. So she's born, and by the time Dad went home to bring your brother back, and I'm looking at the little crib with you in it, I kept getting Gabrielle Angelique, Gabrielle Angelique, Gabrielle Angelique, and I kept looking at you going, Gabrielle Amber. And I get back in my head, Gabrielle Angelique. And I'm going, Gabrielle Angelique, okay. Your dad came back into the room and I said, her name's changed. She's now Gabrielle Angelique.
Which must have been how you knew that I was going to be an absolute terror child.
Already
going against you.
I already knew. I knew. That's a whole other story. When I was pregnant, I got the vibe that you were going to be a nightmare.
And I was. I'm not anymore. I was.
No, you were a nightmare. That's exactly right. And I'd be very heavily pregnant and people would say, you know what having? And I go, I'm having a girl and she's going to be a nightmare. And they'd look at me and then they'd come back later on and we'd have, another session when they were having a reading, and they'd say, what's she like? As years went by, absolute nightmare. But more so than I would ever have predicted. So that I'm here to tell the story over the table. There we go. So here's the difference. So let's just talk about you.
Here's the difference. As I got older, I am no longer a nightmare. Well, I have my moments still, but...
Because I've learnt to manage a whole lot better. All right, so the overall name of Gabrielle Angelique Boehm, as you wanted to come into the world, your big picture came to 115. That becomes...
She's up there.
A 7.
She's raising about...
A 7. So, which is really interesting because I've never seen anybody work out their points for flying and getting credits like you. I mean, that research is unbelievable. If that's all you ever do in your life, what mastery.
To all those points hackers out there, you know what she's talking about. You've got to get those free flights.
Amazing.
You've got to spend money and get free flights in return. Like, it just makes sense.
So your overall idea about being a 7, coming into the world as you wanted to be presented for your big picture, is about research, understanding, getting to the truth, getting to the bottom of things. And when you want to know something, you do. You really do.
To be fair, not much gets by me.
No,
Not
at
much
all.
gets by me. If you think I'm not going to work it out, you are sorely mistaken.
Yes,
I will.
yeah.
Will.
She will. So I think that's really interesting. I think that makes a difference. If you had have had Amber as the middle name, you would have been a 9. Now, 9s mean that, super wise, humanitarians, been through a lot. So they are wise because of their trials and tribulations. So all you 9s out there, I have empathy for you, sympathy for you, and you're amazing because you have to go through the hard yards to get that lesson.
Yeah.
So, and becoming very lovely and very benevolent with it. And so that's the 9. So had you been an Amber, it would have been different rather than just being a points hacker.
Rather than just like doing anything to uncover the truth and get to the bottom of it, you would have been a really, really nice person. Really lovely. Of all the hard lessons that you've had to learn in life, you would have come out real well. Instead, you've come out just a points hacker wanting to know everything and being a nosy little bitch. Like, that's who you are. Yeah, I feel
Does it fit?
Yes, I think a 7 perfectly fits who I am. And did we not work out that Bowen was also a 7?
Yes.
So my last name, and I think probably, my brother is like this as well, that we both want to get.
Yeah,
It's a Bowen trait almost as well. So I'm like really a 7.
You are really a 7, which is really interesting because the idea is, some numerology facets say don't add the sum. I love the sum because at least it gives you an idea of the overall big picture. You do also add up your words to a certain number before you do it down into single digits. And it just gives you an idea of, say, if there's a 33 or a 22 or 11, it gives you the master number, but understanding that we change that. So let's now talk about so that's how she's come into the world and how you like to be known.
I like to be known as Gabby. That's how I like to be known. A lot of people actually don't realise that my full name is Gabrielle. They think my name is just Gabby. But I'm a Gabby with a double B-I. The spelling is usually pretty specific for each Gabby. There's so many different ways to spell it. When I was younger, I wanted to be a Gabby, G-A-B-I. When I joined the golf club that I was a member at when I was younger, we had to put what you'd like to be known as, your preferred name, which is Gabby. I put Gabby on everything. And I put it G-A-B-I, and when the membership card came back, and I feel like I do specifically remember sitting in the car having this membership card come in, and I was beside myself because they'd spelt my name wrong, and they spelt it G-A-B-B-I, that Mum goes, oh, I like the double B. It's like, and then convinced me into keeping the double B and not, I guess, making life easier for herself and not having to go back to the club and change the name on the membership card. So I think it was more about her than it was about me. But I'm grateful because I do like the spelling. My name as a Gabby Bowen and who I present myself to the world is a 1. Is that right?
Yeah,
Am I reading that properly? I'm a 1. Yeah. Cool.
And it comes to, as a sum total, when we break it down, it comes to 10, which is always just 1 anyway. So we always just do that. So very individual, very unique, the innovator, the person who is the pioneer, and the person who doesn't usually take to being told what to do.
I do not.
Very well, or
Not
you
at all.
ones out there.
Nope.
No. So you are, we need ones. You are the initiators, and ones need people to come behind them and make their dreams happen, because once they decide they want to do something, they will actually pretty much make it happen, but they need the person behind them to sort of make sure that all the details taken care of. Very big picture ones, very big picture.
Yeah.
But we need other people to come in behind the scenes to actually make the rest of it happen, which says, Mum,
Yeah.
I'm going to do this podcast.
Do you want to come sit in a seat next to me and talk shit for a couple hours?
Oh, what should the
every
set
week?
design be like, Gab?
Here we go. Here we are. So,
One says, let's make this happen.
well, yeah. One is going to go after it, but they probably usually need the help, right?
Yep.
Yep.
And so they need a support system, which is what the rest of the numbers of the vibration are in the
Yeah.
system. So, all right. So part of that says if you had been Gab, you would have still been a 1.
Yeah, which is interesting
you
because
like Gab.
I like Gab. I love when people call me Gab, which is, funnily enough, my initials. And I have to tell the funny story of our car conversation the other day
Right.
when we were talking about our initials. and I go, oh, if I were to ever get married, like, would I take my wife's last name? Would I keep my last name? What would I do? And then Lynette, being the funny woman she is, goes, well, you could marry someone with the last name Y, so then your initials would be Gay. Which was good from you, and I'll give it to you. So if there's anyone with the last name Y out there, you can find me on Instagram. We've just spoken about my name for the last 10 minutes, so you know where to find me. Anyways, it's interesting that as I'm a GAB anyway, that's my initials, that it equals 1 as well, which is also very much who I am.
And if we had a last name as S, you'd be Gas.
Yeah.
Gas bag.
You off?
So you could spell then bag backwards. See? Gas
Yeah.
bag.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, because I don't shut up.
backwards?
Is that what that's
Yeah.
about? Yeah. Nice little sludge there. Off you
sorry,
go.
couldn't
Let's
help
talk about you now.
Let's talk about me. Okay. So
And that's all the time we have today. We will see you in next week's episode. I'm just joking. I love you. Let's go.
Okay. So let's talk about my name and the fun stories that we have about getting our names. So I've already mentioned that I'm a psychic. Been doing that for 35 years or so. I know I don't look that old. So when I was born, my mum and dad had tried for 10 years to have me. Back in the 60s, they tried to adopt. They couldn't adopt. Mum still, very, very much wanted a baby.
Wait, can I ask why they couldn't adopt in that?
Yeah, it's bizarre. Apparently the story is that dad was too old.
Really?
Yeah.
He can't have been that old, no?
No. He would have been 40s.
Oh, in his 40s,
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
Oh, because they
Yeah.
had been trying for
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I believe it is really hard to adopt still in Australia, is it?
Well, it is.
No?
But
Yeah.
at that time, that's a whole other
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah, no, it's just
But
an interesting tidbit that, too old is
Yeah.
crazy.
And so they were looked at being childless for the bulk of their days moving
which
forward.
in that day is a pretty
Huge.
big deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
So then I was born, conceived,
Miracle
decided
child.
to come into life, my time now, and pretty much, mum's little angel, so to speak. And back in the day, and I guess they still do it now, I don't know, we're not in that set of, but happening in our lives. The fathers used to go and wet the head because they didn't ever go into the birthing rooms, and they would go out and get drunk. While mum's still in hospital,
Yeah.
they would go and get drunk, wet the baby's head and get drunk. So my father and uncle decided to wet the baby's head, so to speak, and they were looking at the birth notices, trying to word the birth notice. Still hadn't been named, but
Yep.
they were looking at that. And they came up with the bright idea while they were drunk to name me a 10-letter name. They failed at that, but a 10-letter name for every year that they tried.
Which is a very sweet gesture if they had got it right.
But they did
it's
not.
It's the thought that counts.
It is
It's
the
always
thought.
a thought that counts,
They
no?
would have been closer with Gabrielle
Yeah.
than Lynette. So
Because how many letters does your name have?
only 8. Missed by 2. Missed by 2. So they then apparently were going through the columns, then looking for names that had the 10 letters. And what they found, close enough, was the 8-letter name Lynette, because I have 2 N's, and it was in the death column. So I have been named
After a dead
a
woman.
dead woman. Now, I was born on Halloween
Yeah, which is interesting.
in a thunderstorm, and I have a dead woman's name. And
You see ghosts.
I do see ghosts. I see dead people.
And Lynette came up to her and said, give my name back.
I'll haunt you forever.
She said, it's not even 10 letters. Give my name back.
Who are you to have my name? So that's how I got my name, with the double N. Now,
I think that's such a funny story.
Oh,
it's so good.
it's so much our family. You wonder why we're a bit madcapped.
I was just going to say, it is once again a perfect description of what we are as a family unit. Like,
and coming
just-
down through the generations.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what I have to say around that is, so I was Lynette, named after my auntie, my middle name Glory, and my last name. And so I came into the world as when we break it down, a 4. So you're a 7, I'm a 4.
And what is a 4?
A 4 is a builder, someone who likes to get in and make things happen.
Yeah.
The whole concept gets in and physically makes the structures. This is how it's going to be. I want this to the big picture, and this is the vision. And I'm going to, if I'm not doing it myself, I'm going to bring people in to help me make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very much about that getting in behind the scenes. But builders also like to take things apart. So if you imagine a builder is also like a house flipper or a renovator, they also like to change the structures.
Yeah, or as one would like to say, an IKEA builder, because if you build IKEA furniture, you know that you make it once and then you have to pull it apart and then remake it again. And the
Perfect
second
for
time,
fours.
it's perfect.
Perfect for fours.
Yeah, perfect for fours.
I wonder if actually the person who did IKEA was
Is
a
a four.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Oh, we
Maybe.
might have to go and have a look
Yeah.
at their birth date and their numerology. All right, so a 4. So that's very different as in our concept of you being 7, me being a 4, which I think is really interesting. But when we're talking about your birth day, your birth date, which is also part of your character, you were born on the 4th.
You are a 4.
I am a 4 as in my name. I'm a 4 because I was born on the 31st.
So you become a 4.
I'm a 4.
You're a 444. Well, you're a 44.
Be careful how you say that.
Sorry. You're a 666.
As well. Okay.
Who else have we summoned to the podcast just now?
I don't know. We've got Lynette. All going on. So all of you out there who are listening for your birth date, and you might be a 28, just as I said, we're both 4s. Single digit birth date is a 4 for the day we
Yeah.
were born. But the difference between Gabrielle and I is that I'm a 3 and a 1 to make
Yeah.
a 4. So when you're looking at numerology, I'm also influenced by 3, which is the creative person, and then the pioneer.
Yeah.
So you'll just go in and basically go and say, there's the IKEA box.
Yeah.
Let me at it. Build it wrong.
Don't read
have
the
to redo
instructions.
it.
Yeah.
I'll have the vision to then go, oh, now that bookcase would look nice there. And then I'll put that and I'll measure it and I'll get it in there to the nth degree. And if I have to take the back off it, I'll take the back off it. It'll look amazing. And then I get the kids to do it and then they have to redo it again.
Yeah, that would probably be a perfect description of how that works together. I'll just open the box. I'm not looking at the instructions. I'm just going to work it out. I'm just going to be like, that looks right.
Yeah.
And then get to the end and that does not look right.
But both 4s still doing the same thing. And I think it's fascinating because in a whole family, when you look at us, we're both 4s.
Yeah.
But the way we approach life,
Totally different. Well,
no, we're both sitting here thinking, do we?
yeah. I was like, hang on a minute.
Yeah. Anyway,
Same end
we'll
goal.
just move on.
Same end goal, different approach.
Yeah,
maybe.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Well,
okay.
that's how it works. All right. So then when I was married to your dad,
What a time! What a time! What a time! Yeah.
love him dearly, I became a 1. So when you change your vibration because you enter that new phase
Stop
of life.
copying me.
I know. See,
Oh
we're
my
a little bit
God.
aligned. So it's the family stuff too, isn't it? So it became a 1. So that means new beginning. And I think with how I've managed life,
And a new beginning it was.
a new beginning it was. And I think in so many ways, because it's also got that pioneering aspect because of my relationship with your dad, is family patterns, but how all those years later, most of my work these days is about family patterns and how we look back, heal them, go back through the generations. That's a huge part of my my business now. And because of marrying Dad and having him in my life and how we worked through our relationship, then that helps for me to understand exactly what I think my bigger purpose and mission is, apart from being a mum to my 2 kids, which is a joy. Apart from that, it's also about how I can get in and help families with all their patterning, because we've got a big story that's happened in ours, haven't we?
Yeah.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
There's a lot. We'll unpack it throughout the episodes. You'll learn. This is a basis of who we are, but we'll delve even further into sort of our family and who
And the
we are.
dynamics and how you can understand yourself through your dynamics as well.
Yeah, and how you can see yourselves in the stories that we have to share as well, I think. But I think that it is interesting because while 4 is definitely who you are, you also are a 1 because you started your business and it was just...
I don't say smoke and mirrors, but I think that aspect of the 3 that's in the 31 is very much and when you look at, when we do the calculation for Lynette Glory,
Yeah.
which I literally is my legal name.
Which you took on as your legal name. Did you start your business as a psychic while you were a Lynette Glory Bowen
Yes.
legally?
Yes.
Yeah. So what I'm seeing is that you were innovator, pioneer, let's go start this. And then as you've grown into who you are as your business, lead you to your Lynette Glory legal name.
Absolutely.
Which is who you
three.
now present yourself
Absolutely.
to the world.
That
And you
won't
are
change.
you are now a Lynette Glory through and through. But you started this whole thing as a one. And your psychic journey as a one.
Yeah, it is. And that's why I think it's fascinating when you get into the numbers. And of course, you can do your birth date, you can do your month date, you can look at your life. So there's that element of numerology with your birth date all the way through to the year. It gives you pretty much similar ideas about how each vibration number is, but you'll have a different calculation and there'll be different reasons. So we're talking about the character now and how we move through our challenges with those numbers. So the Lynette Glory being very specific about who I am and how I relate to the world and how that is. So I also like my nickname, and very few people use it.
No one really calls you this, but
there's few people that do, and I love it when they do. Linny.
Linny, it's so cute.
Linny.
It is very you. It is very cute.
Yeah,
It's very
Linny. It's very few people use it, but you know what? It's exactly the same number.
What is it?
It's a 3.
It's a 3.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's once you put it with Glory, it's a 3.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
That
it doesn't
interesting.
change.
Yeah,
So
okay,
Lynette and with a double N and Linny with a double N is exactly the same number, which is a 34, which comes to a 7. So Lynette's a 7.
Okay, yeah.
But
Yeah,
the
okay.
overall Lynette Glory added together, it is not a 666, but it is a 66.
Oh, it's close enough.
It's almost there. It's almost there. And then we have the other name that people tend to call me, which is what you kids call me.
Which she is saved under my phone as this with a few little sparkles around it. And she is Mother Glory, which you will probably come to affectionately know her through this podcast, I reckon. But she's Mother Glory.
And I do have clients who are of a certain age, that younger vibration, so to speak, and they do call me Mother Glory, which once they know that that's what you kids call me, they feel that they want to be included and call me Mother Glory. Because most of the time in that age bracket, they're looking for that bit of maternal advice or that wisdom that I have because of the channel and life experience that they might not be able to get from their own mothers. And their mothers can be absolutely fabulous, but there's that other element of a different point of view because you are still working through your mother, daughter or son patterns in the concept of the family dynamic. I'm the external.
Yeah.
So-
that's a very, very good way to put
So
it.
Mother Glory, I like being called that because I think there's that sense of a warm hug again. Yeah, and so
Give me a
that's
hug.
again, it's a 3.
Oh, it's a 3 as well.
It's all 3.
It's all 3. That is, and wait, did we go into what a 3 was?
Oh, it's the creator. It's the abracadabra. Let's pull a rabbit out of the hat.
Oh, yeah.
So it's being able to being creative, being able to pull the energies in. It's very much the magician.
Yeah.
It's very much the magician, but in that it's the creativity of being able to make things happen as opposed to the idea of being able to just work with the energy as the builder.
So if you haven't heard your number be spoken about as we've just spoken about sort of what the numbers are in our name, and even though that they'll be up on our TikTok, Instagram, website, we're going to go through the remaining numbers so that you can quickly hear about what your number may be if you've been sitting in the car or running or whatever you're doing right now, so that you can hear your number 2 for what your birth date is, and then later you can go and work it out if you're interested to know what your name is. But so we didn't talk about 2, so do you want to give us a rundown on what a 2 is?
Well, 2 is, of course, follows 1, and we need 2s in the world because they're all about relationships. So one and one together makes 2, and they're about relationships, building relationships, networking. We have a relationship to everything in our life. We have relationship with money. We have relationship as friendship. We have a relationship with family. So everything is a connection and relationship, and that is number 2. So they are the great networkers, and everything that they do is from in that sense of how they learn their life lessons is very much around the heart. So if you have a number 2, you're very connective with other people. You have empathy. Other people generally will come to you and, I was going to say spill their guts.
Yeah,
Wanted to be a little bit more eloquent than that, but spill their guts.
Spill their guts is
Spill
probably
their guts.
pretty right for what people
They get
do.
a warm hug,
Yeah.
and it's very much about how you learn your life lessons through your heart.
Yeah.
And so some of those lessons can be a little bit heartbreaking, of course, because we have to have the heartbreak to get the resilience, to learn the lesson and find the gift. So that's our number 2. So they are the ones that make it happen. And 2s are actually very good with 1s. because
Yeah.
because the ones are the universal, I'm going to make this happen, going to make it happen, and the two is then the connector to actually then get the people that the one needs. If
Okay.
it's not them, they're great at connecting people. So fantastic networkers. And I think there's that element of two, which is also the warmth, which makes them very likable.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're a
'Cause it's all
two,
about the heart.
everyone likes you. So
Yeah. And quite psychic because you tap into other people's emotions.
yeah. So you're
So-
sort of very, very, would you
Intuitive.
say kind of, intuitive and in
absolutely.
touch with your emotions, other people's emotions.
Yeah, and being able to feel them. 'cause
potentially,
you're an
a
empath.
bit of an empath. Yeah.
Totally.
Cool.
So they're a softer vibration. Of course, then we get to the rabbit out of the hat with the threes, which are the creators and being very, very creative and getting in and seeming to, I think with threes, they seem to make things happen very easily. So they seem lucky. They're able to just sort of pull things together. So we've spoken about you fabulous threes. And then we've got the fours, which are the builders and the IKEA people.
Yeah. Okay.
Bless our
Yeah.
Fours. They make the world happen. They do. They're the builders. They're the builders. So let's talk about fives because we haven't spoken about fives, and I'm in some of those. I'm a five before we add it all together.
Yeah.
Fives are almost the media people. So if you've got a 5 or your birth number, you're born on the 5th or it adds to a single digit 5, amazing. In this day and age to be a 5 because it's all about communication. It is about inspiration. It's being able to work very, very quickly and in a very adaptive manner and responsive to make things happen. So a lot of people who are out there in the public eye in communication they've got a 5 vibration. So if anybody's looking to change their business, as in rebranding, 5s are really good to have in a business manner. Very adaptable and a lot of responsibility too because they can just think on their feet and outside the square. Very solution orientated. So they're, that's 5.
They're the quick thinkers of everything.
They are. And so much with everything being so fast these days with communication, really, really good with writing and acting and entertaining.
Yeah.
So that's why you would find them in the celebrity sphere.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we have our 6s, which are the nurturers, and they're often frontline people.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see why a 6 would definitely be like a frontline worker.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's about being of service. And I think the one thing that all you 6s need to know is that you don't take support on for yourself. So if you're a 6 listening to this, you will be in there solving everybody else's problems. You'll be sacrificing yourself for those of you around family, and that doesn't mean even around children. It can be elderly parents.
Yeah.
So 6s are very much about taking care of in the home, and that's where they get their sense of purpose from.
Yeah, taking care of your people.
Absolutely. But also they don't work very well in being and accepting care and support from others.
Yeah.
So all you 6s, please, if somebody offers to help, take it on and say, yes, thank you very much, because you've probably done a whole lot for everybody else, and it doesn't have to be the same person that you've helped.
I think it's hard to accept help at any given point, but, that's what other people are there for as well.
Yeah,
So,
but especially the 6s.
yeah.
Especially the 6s. All right, so we've talked about the 7s being the wise ones, being the ones that get in and want to know everything. So you've got a lot of innovators with the 7s, a lot of academics, and a lot of new thinking and new knowledge that comes through with the 7s.
Which is interesting because I don't think I have any of that, but they must have bluffed me as a 7.
Well, you do like technology. You work with this.
Yeah, this is true.
I'm sort of really surprised you're not a 5, to tell you the truth. Your vibes as a 5.
Yeah, it is weird. Yeah, it is almost weird that I'm not a 5, but I think I'm more of there's a lot happening in my brain. My brain, I sometimes feel, is like a computer at how much it thinks and how fast it thinks almost. Like, not that I'm a massive academic or all these things, but there's a lot happening at any given point. And when you kind of sit there and someone's realised something 30 minutes later, I realise it 30 minutes before. Like, that's kind of
7.
how...
Okay. And
yeah,
I think,
if that makes sense.
and I think, well, that does make sense. And also, if you even look at the podcast, I mean, what you're doing is putting yourself out into the world, because this is what you are very... I'd probably say destiny. We'll talk about that in another episode as well. Destined to do. But the other aspect of that is you've also brought me alongside with of what I know and to then enlighten the world, because sevens are very spiritual.
Are they?
Yes.
There you
So
go.
we think that they're the academics. We think we find the truth, and they're very much about new spiritual knowledge coming into the world.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So they
that's
often
cool.
call 7 the spiritual number,
Yeah.
because of that enlightenment that they can have with looking at the old structure of, say, religion, and perhaps looking through it and around it and coming up with a different concept.
Would you say that like sevens are very open-minded,
No, I think they're open to the
new concepts?
new concepts, and they're open to really, why did you say that? Why did they say that? Where's the history of that? Is that the truth?
That is exactly how my brain works.
Yeah.
It is.
Is that the truth?
Someone could say something so very simple to me, and I will go and dissect the whole thing in my head to work out that one little thing that you've said is got actually 7 layers to it. Like, yeah.
And that's, so
Yeah.
very open.
Interesting.
Yeah, open, but wanting to then, as you said, dissect
Know why.
it. Yeah, absolutely.
There's a process and a method to everything almost, I think. Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting because that is exactly how my brain works. But
So
I
you're
don't-
on a 7.
I don't think on the outside people would
No,
peg me
that
for
that's
it because
going on.
it's
And you know well, this is also about the 7s. The 7s are also very can be like their own space and their own time, so they can seem very, if I said introverted or reclusive, so not
Yeah.
always giving everything away. So all you 7s, you've got a lot going on. That makes sense, Gabby. That's good
I've
conversation.
always been told by people you're really hard to read. Like even people that are really close to me, like maybe not more so, but they kind of don't know what's happening in my brain, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening in my brain. I don't know what's happened here at all. But yeah, I always get you're really hard to read, and I would say I'm pretty introverted and a bit reclusive. Like I kind of need to work things out before I give it all away.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
all you 7s, isn't that's a great conversation, because that's the energy, and that's basically
Yeah.
all there.
And-
And this is interesting because if you're listening and you've taken even your birth date because you haven't been to the website or you don't know your destiny number, then it's great conversation so that you can see how numerology can actually unpack so much more of your character, and for you to reflect on that and go, oh yeah, I do vibe like that. Wow,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
does suit me. Or at that point in my life that suited me, but that doesn't suit me now. So that's part of that. So what about our 8s? Our
Our
8s.
eights.
Our
Tell
8s.
us about
now,
our eights.
everybody knows that is the success number. Okay, so 8s are the infinity number. 8s are about abundance, yes, but it's hard work. It doesn't come easy. So the idea around that is that they are the CEOs of the universe, our 8s. Power to you out there. But the other aspect of that is we want our 8s to be successful because they can also then give back. So we need
cool.
our 8s to be successful. So if you are an 8, so if you come in as a 8 on your birthday, if you come back to an 8, 4 is 8, or if that also is your personality number, there's a lot of success. But it is through hard work, and it's also being very opportunistic. So 8s can see opportunity perhaps before other people, and they also know when to act on it. So
Which in hand in hand you have to be very
Absolutely.
successful. You have to
Yep.
jump on opportunities where other people might not.
And so I think for the 3s, when they look to be very lucky because they create very easily the energy around them, the 8s are more structured and more, I don't know if I'd say business-like, but it comes through hard work. And it means they've also had their ups and downs, because if with success, you've got to, ride that tide.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Of disappointment and losses to then get to the other side. So they can become also the mentors of the universe because they've made their success, and then they can show that down to other people as they had followers, or this is how you do this. So, so we need our 8s, and it is success and it is abundance. And I do applaud you for your hard work, and I do also applaud you for your sacrifice, as in sometimes there's that what you have to do as a discipline, having your own business, as no, to me, you can still be up at 1 o'clock in the morning doing what you need to do, for the back end of the business. So,
Leading into a 9, what's a 9?
well, see, we have spoken about 9, and that is the humanitarian. So 9s are an end of a cycle. So in the spiritual idea, it's the ending up of karma before you go back and start a new journey. So 9 is very much about the lessons learned from the trials and tribulations. And it sort of means also at that point in your life, if you found that it's because you've taken it on as a business or if you've taken it on because of a relationship and that relationship's coming to an end, that you're ending a whole lot of karma cycle, but you get your wisdom from it. So it's seeing the gifts, it's having the ability to have the resilience to move on, but it also makes you someone who's very relatable because you've been through all these experiences. So 9 is actually a deep breath and going, oh, is that my life? I'm ready for my next chapter.
Yeah.
Before you start again. So it is that end of the marathon, if you say that, and then sort of getting through the finish line and going, oh, now I can sit and relax. And we need 9 because they are humanitarians. They are really, really amazing, as in being able to give their wisdom, give their advice, relatable because they've been through so much. So if you are a 9, it comes down to you on your birthday and it has come to a single digit 9, you've had a lot go on in your life. And that's, if you understand that, we have choice in that, the day we're born, and the vibration you come in just for that day and that personality, that you've got the resilience to move on. Master numbers, we'll talk about those.
So what's your master numbers? Your 11s and your 22s?
11s, 22s and 33.
Cool.
So our master numbers are... being a master number, if you can still divide that down to an 11 becomes a 2, 2 and 2 is 4, so 22, and 3 and 3 is, of course, 6. So you have both elements working a double time. So it's hard.
You're in overdrive.
You're in overdrive. But that also means that for the 2s, so say that we're going 11, which becomes a 2. So you have that natural ability to connect with people and have people, adore you, so to speak, but you're coming in from, as an 11, 2 1s. So you've got that real initiative, you've got the pioneer, you've got the person who can be inspirational, and you're doing double the pioneer work.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. But then it relates back to being very people orientated because it comes to a 2.
Yeah.
So that's why they call it a master number.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it is actually the initiator, the inspirer. Our 22, master builder, and you're coming in from building relationships though. So you're building your structure from your relationship aspects because there's 2 2s. So 2 pillars, 2 2s. So everything will be about relationships doubled up. And then you build a new structure, you build a new community, you build from that. So very much about big teams working together and pulling people together on a grand scale.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's, and that's ends up being a lot of responsibility as well. But also it can mean, it can mean extra heartbreak.
Yeah.
Because you've got to move through it and you've got to have that extra level of compassion, but then building on a bigger level. And of course, then we have our 33s, which is the master teacher. So, and that comes down to 6. So a lot of that 33, they're the teachers of life because they have the nurture, they have the warmth. And it also means with them, they know how to bring people together. They know how to work the energy because there's 2 3s. So you have the magician double up. So you know how to work energy, you know how to pull everything together, and you know how to manifest on a very, very big level.
Okay.
A very big level. And because of that, and the ability to manifest out of thin air, so to speak, something that is of value and teach people. So whether that's through the inspiration, whether that is through what they've created in their life as a wealth base, whatever that is, but it's the wisdom and it's the knowledge. And it's like, I guess it's that sense of having that person who really has mastered every aspect of life because they're able to bring things out of the ether into life.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's our master teacher and the wisdom that comes through that.
Yeah. So if you're a master number, you've kind of got that just added a little bit of responsibility of what your whole number is.
And our master number of 33 can only come from having those bigger additions because there's no 33 in the months of the year, as in dates.
Yeah.
So our 33 can only come from a whole birth date or from your name as you add up the sum. So that's what I always like to say. Do your words individually.
Yeah.
But then add the whole concept, the sum, to a big picture because you might miss out on a great bit of information about that whole dynamic of who you are that's there.
I don't know what it was that you may have just said or what just flicked in my brain, but I don't. Maybe. No, what are we in? Or maybe. Well, no, we're in April. Were we in Queenstown this time last year?
May well have been.
Because I just had this random flick in my brain that just a vivid image of me and you in Cowboys.
Oh, deja vu.
In Queenstown. Yeah, like full on.
Manifestors.
You literally just said something as you were talking about the 33s and my brain just saw like like I was inside Cowboys, sitting at that table in Cowboys,
I
which
love Cowboys.
for those that have no bloody idea what Cowboys is, it's this like bar in Queenstown in New Zealand that me and Mum went to last year. That was awesome. But yeah, that just like flicked in my brain. So
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
what we just mentioned that.
Well, I'll tell you what I just mentioned. When I'm sitting there playing music trivia to myself,
Yeah, which we yeah.
I do. I amuse
Yeah.
myself. I was an only child. And I was playing music trivia, and then something came on, and you said, I'd like to boot scoot in America. That's one of my goals. And this was Cowboys. We're talking about major manifestors.
Yeah, so
this
this
is how
is-
this is going to link.
And I said that it's always been my dream to go and like line dance in a bar in, did I say Nashville?
No,
or did I
America.
just say just in America?
Just in America.
Yeah, I just wanted to go line dance in a bar in America.
So that comment was thrown out there. So let's talk about manifesting, master manifestors. Threw it out there. I don't know, 2.5 months later.
Yeah.
Guess where we were.
We were in Nashville line dancing in a bar. Like literally 2.5 months later, didn't think we were going to do it. Had 2 weeks of time
There's
off
that
work.
rabbit out of a hat. So that shows just how you can say something out into the universe, and there it is. It happens.
Yeah.
And so that vibration can happen. That's why that came up.
Yeah,
So that
that's
was
so
that little
fun.
bit-
That's
yeah,
so funny. I
that's-
just had a
yeah.
like full on deja vu of being there with you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we can wrap it out there. Yeah.
absolutely.
Cool. So hopefully you heard your number there and you not only got to know a bit more about us, but a bit more about yourself and how the numbers work and all that kind of thing in numerology. You can find all that information, like I've said, and you can follow us on Instagram or on TikTok, or we also have our website, All the Be Home for Dinner Show, and you can find our individual accounts on there as well, that you can follow us and follow along.
Because everybody knows now to find me as Lynette Glory with a double N, don't they?
Yeah. And you better not be looking it up with a single N because Linny won't be happy. Yeah, come home for dinner with us next week.
Cheers.
Cheers.